Well, folks, the Renaissance Marine channel has arrived. I have, for the first time, been contacted and asked to do a review of a product. I've reviewed a lot of products before, but just on my own volition, and I ordered them myself and bought them and paid for them and then reviewed them for you. But I had a company reach out to me. This company's name is Rhino Rescue. They're on Amazon. And they had seen the series of reviews I did on survival kits, and all those I had just sent off for and paid for and reviewed. But they had seen that series, which I'd done a while back, and they asked me if I'd be willing to do one, and I said, yeah, I'll do an honest review. And they sent me this, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to open it up right now, look it over, and then I'm going to take some time and I'm going to play around with this thing and give you an honest review, what I think of this product, and I hope it'll be beneficial. The best way to start this review is with the bag itself, and I like this bag. It's pretty large, but it's not quite so large that you couldn't conceive of wearing it on your belt. It rides that happy place between being able to carry it on your person and using it more as a vehicle or a pack bag. It has a grab handle. It has Pals webbing and captive molly, and I like that it's captive. And I also like that it's that kind that weaves in. It's got this these stiffeners at the end of the captive molly, captive pals, whatever you want to call it. We got pals webbing, and this is a molly hookup, I guess. And that way, there's no snaps or anything that can rust up or go bad. I think that's a smart way of doing it. Then it's got these two plastic D-rings, so you could, hang it from something. And then in the front, it's got this laser pals webbing, so that you can run stuff on top if you got like another smaller pouch you want to put in here. And then up here, there's some Velcro. They include one Velcro attachment. It's a Rhino Rescue. I wish this was in red. I really think that if you're going to have a first aid sign or some sort of sticker or Velcro patch that's going to identify this as a trauma or first aid kit, I just think that if this was in red or had some red piping on it, I think that would be better. But at least they have it, And then this doohickey here, if I don't miss my guess, this slit and this accompanying piece of Velcro tab is so that you can slide your shears, trauma shears, in there, and they can ride on the outside, which is really cool. So I like the face of it. But the best part about this, now you notice that it had this big Fastex buckle in the front, and you think, well, what's that for? Well, what that's for is the best part of this is this whole thing Velcros off. It's hard to do one-handed, so I'm going to, through the magic of video, go ahead and do it off camera. Ta-da! So you see there, this is just an outstanding addition to this thing. So once you take this Fastex buckle undone, you can grab the pouch by its handle and just rip it away from whatever it's attached to, whether that be on your pack, on your plate carrier, your belt, or even a vehicle borne, like I have in my vehicle, where you can just rip it off and go with it. That is outstanding. That is a great thing to see. I really like that. That's just wonderful. That's worth the price of admission right there. Okay, what else? It's got a little drain hole. Not much else to say about it, but I really do like that pouch. So the bag zips all the way down so that you can open it up clamshell and everything is exposed. And like I said, this looks to be a combination of an IFAK and a first aid kit. Um, and if you are one of my five faithful, and you watched my series on survival kits, um, you know that even the ones I bought, that I would take them, then I would add to them and take stuff out and all. But um, and something like this, if I bought this, I would probably do the same thing. But let's go ahead and look at this thing and see what's in it, and then we'll dig down into the individual parts and see how good they are. All right, on the trauma bag side of it, we've got an elastic crepe bandage. Interesting. And it's from China. I imagine all this is from China. It's non-sterile, and I'm trying to see how long it is. Oh, it's 7.5 centimeters by 4.5 centimeters. I'm an old Marine. I have no idea what that means. Then there's this elastic bandage, and it is also 7.5 by 4.5, which is not very long, I don't think. Then there's a triangular bandage, very lightweight, and y'all know what that's all about. Then there's an emergency blanket, and it's just a regular size emergency blanket, it looks like. And then this whistle I don't think belongs over here, so we're going to push it over there. Next we've got, looks like some tape, small amount of tape. I can't really read how long, but some tape. Then this is a CPR face shield. Interesting. Okay. And this is probably going to be some gloves. Yeah, one pair of gloves. Okay, it's kind of the basic. But then you've got behind it, you've got some other stuff. Let's pull that stuff out. So you have a dry burn dressing. Okay. What they're calling a wound compress, but it's actually just a piece of gauze. Another wound compress. And another and another. So you got 4 of those little pieces of gauze for sticking over a wound. Wound plasters. That means band-aids. So you've got about 14 different size band-aids. All right, that's fine. And this looks like some very cheap moleskin. Very thin. When I say cheap, I mean thin. And it has little cutouts, if you can see them, so that when you peel this off, you can peel it off in little sections. Then more of what they call wound compresses, just sizes of gauze. And then this, I don't know what this is. Looks like a plastic sheet. Not sure. And then here's a pair of shears. Says stainless steel. Let's see, was there anything else in here? Yes, there's more stuff. Oh wow. Burn care relief gel. And then quite a bit. Oh, this is sting relief for bug stings. And this is BZK antiseptic swabs. Okay. Quite a few of those. And then alcohol pads. Wow. All kind of different stuff in here. Okay, alcohol pads. And then soap wipes. I've never seen soap wipes before. That's interesting. We're going to end up having to try some of those. So you got quite a bit of the little things. Okay, so that took care of everything on this side. Oh, nope. A pair of tweezers. I think they probably should have gone over there, but they were over here. So that's everything on this side. So you got this pouch down here, and this is called the Adventure Mini. Anyway, so you got quite a bit of stuff in there. That's all on one side. Then over on this side, and this is more the survival side, I guess. So here you've got a paracord bracelet with a whistle, it looks like, and a compass. And then you have a pair of tweezers, a whistle, a saw, a bunch of safety pins. This looks to be a ferrocerium rod and a striker. This looks to be a flashlight, I think. Let's see here. Yep, flashlight. And then 2 chem lights. A bunch of small plastic ties. And then what's in this box? I guess it's just going to be a pocket knife. It is a pocket knife. It's a pocket knife with a carabiner end. Kind of a skeletal type pocket knife. Let's see if we can open it without cutting ourselves. Yep. Small blade. Not bad. At least it's not serrated. I don't care if it's serrated. So that's everything that's in this Rhino Rescue. What did it call it? The Adventure Mini? I don't know if that's the name of the product or just the name of the bag. That's everything that comes in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this stuff apart and look it over and play with it and see how well it works. Some of the things, I mean, we'll open everything, but you know, wound compress, it's a piece of gauze for taping over an open wound or something. So I mean, there's not a lot we can do to look at, but we're going to look it all over and see how well it works and see what we think of it. The saw did just as good as any, a little better than some. It has a little bit better connection here than some do. Some of them don't have all this camouflage. All right, looking at the knife. It's a folding knife. It's got a little carabiner attachment there. It's a skeletal type knife. It is not a locking blade. So I would prefer it to be a locking blade, but it is not. Comes pretty sharp. Out of the box, it's fairly sharp. I mean, it looks okay. Nothing fancy, nothing special. Doesn't seem to be any other tools on it. I mean, maybe you could open a bottle cap, take a bottle cap off with that carabiner, but other than that, not much to it. And really the carabiner part, I'm not sure that's important since it is a skeletal. There's a lot of holes here. You could probably you could just put a hole there and tied a cord to it, but hey, that's how they made it, so it's okay. Looking at the 3 ways of making light, I like seeing these chem lights in here, and Birdie just likes laying around. I like seeing these chem lights in here because there's so many things you can do with them. If you come upon an accident, say at night, these are great for marking your way, marking a location. You know, throw this on a cord and you can do the whipsaw to signal other people. Just a lot of things chem lights can do for you. And I like seeing a flashlight in an emergency kit like this. Now, I will say I prefer a headlight because it just makes sense that if you're dealing with somebody's injuries, your hands are going to be full. And I think a inexpensive headlight makes more sense. But you know, usually you do see flashlights. This flashlight is interesting. It didn't come with any batteries. It takes 3 AAAs, but it has this hole for recharging, but I didn't see a cable, so I don't know what that point of that is. I'll put in regular batteries. So let's take these 3 items into a dark room and just see how they do. So here we are in our DARPA light testing facility, otherwise known as a shed. I'm going to turn off the lights and just make sure all this stuff functions and see how it looks. All right, lights are off, and even though it's daytime outside, chem lights work good. That's a good chem light right there. All right, now, should I bust both of them or assume that if one works, the other works? I'm going to assume that they both work. That way I get a chem light out of the deal. Like I said, chem lights are really good to have. This one comes with a hook. You can put a piece of cord through that string, and like I said, make your whipsaw to signal. Just a good thing to have. And then let's try the flashlight. Okay, it works fine. And it's got controls where you can focus the beam, which is good. Sounds like a Craftsman ratchet, doesn't it? But it works fine. I mean, I would prefer... You can't see that on the screen, or at least I can't see it through my screen, but when you dial it into a certain place, you end up with a diagram which I can only assume is the actual shape of the LED lens. It's really interesting. Kind of looks like a Tron type thing, but evidently you're not going to be able to see it on the screen because I can't see it looking through the screen of the phone. Anyway, they work fine. No complaints whatsoever there. Not a terrible flashlight. Not a very fancy flashlight. Chem lights are great. No complaints there. The ferrocerium rod and striker. This is to me more of a survival thing than a first aid thing, and I think for a trauma or first aid kit, I'd rather see the space and the weight allocated to just a lighter. I do think the ability to make fire is important, but in this case, I think a lighter would be just fine. There may be some issues where you can't sell a kit like this with a butane lighter in it. I don't know, but let's go ahead and see how this works. And as I talked about earlier in the video, this is how the shears are supposed to attach. They can go that way, or you can flip them around and they can go in that way. And I like that a lot. I really like, they're not going to come loose. They're really not obtrusive, and they're ready to go. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Now, how do they fare as shears? Well, the main purpose of medic shears or first aid shears is to get clothing off. I'm doubling up this bed sheet, quadrupling up, and it's eating through it. So they're okay for shears. They're stainless steel. They're small shears. That's fine. I like them fine. I really love that. Really love that. So this is the survival bracelet. It's got a little bitty compass. It's pretty much holding north. It's got a little secondary ferrocerium rod, so that means you got two ferrocerium rods, which more than agrees with my wish that the big one, whoa, there you go, that the big one be replaced with a lighter, because you got this little miniature one. And even though it's, you know, placed between the two shoulders of the buckle, I'm able to get to it just fine and work it. Oh, it's got a whistle, and that's great. So that's two whistles. Another whistle. It's okay. It's a whistle. So I'm just kind of go through some of the expendable supplies. This is alcohol pad. Yeah, I mean, nice juicy alcohol pad, and you get plenty of them, and I think those are important to have. Now this is an antiseptic swab. I am not learned enough to know the difference between an alcohol pad and an antiseptic. Oh, okay. It's benzalkonium chloride. Doesn't have much smell. That's 75% alcohol. This is a 0.1% benzalkonium chloride. So that is an antiseptic pad. BZK, never heard of it. So you got several of them, more alcohol. Then you got sting relief. And then I was kind of interested in this, the soap wipes. Kind of curious about that. And what does it say? It contains 0.5% soap applied to each towelette to open, discard. So I guess it's the waterless soap that you can use just to kind of clean yourself. And I guess if you were to, you know, need to do some sort of field surgery, you could use the soap, then use the alcohol, and then use the antiseptic, and you'd be as clean as you could expect. So you got plenty of those things, quite a few of them. So it's Band-Aids, and it's a resealable bag, which is good. And you have plenty of them. Oh, that's interesting. What is this? Oh. So this is just a big Band-Aid. I like that. I like that. Okay. Interesting. So you got a good assortment of Band-Aids, and that's a nice thing, because let's face it, when it comes to first aid kits, you get into the Band-Aids more than anything else. Now this moleskin, I am going to say this is the thinnest moleskin I've ever seen. And it comes pre-laser cut. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but it's pre-laser cut so that you can tear out these pieces. See? So that if you had a hot spot, you could stick that like a blister or a hot spot before it forms a blister. You could put that on there, and that's good. I like that. But I tell you what, I think I would probably put one on top of the other, because that is the thinnest moleskin I've ever seen. I mean, it may be enough, but it just seems kind of thin to me. But it holds on real good. So there's that. More sting relief, more BZK. There was a lot of that, wasn't there? Gloves. Latex free, powder free. Yeah, good thing to have. The triangular bandage. Let's go ahead and open that bad boy up. Very interesting. It's very much of a kind of a gauzy, netty material. I'm trying to think why it shouldn't be, and I can't. And that's just fine. I mean, it's just a big piece of material. And I guess if you were trying to make a splint or a wrap, there's nothing wrong with that. So it's probably the cheapest way to make a triangular bandage, but nothing wrong with that. So there's that. And the emergency blanket, those are all kind of the same. Reflects 9% body heat. These are just great things to have. I want to see one in my first aid kits, because you know, shock is one of the things you got to deal with, and after somebody's been in a wreck or in some sort of traumatic episode, shock is something to treat for. So I always keep these. If you've watched any of my videos on my large emergency kits, you've seen a lot of these, so good to have. Wound compress. Let's open one of these bad boys up. So let's say sterile. Okay, so it is a sterile bandage. I'm looking for one of those places to, oh, there you go. Okay, I like how that's done. So you can get into it fairly easy. And it's just a big piece of sterile gauze. Not very thick, but you know, it's what they say it is. It's not so much for packing, it's for covering. But that's fine. And you get, how many of those? Let's see. You only get two. Well, you get two big ones, and then you get 4 little ones that I see. So there's that. And then you get a dry burn dressing and the burn care, which I like this stuff. I keep some of that. The dry burn dressing is interesting. It's sterile. And it kind of makes me, I'm going to have to look up dry burn dressings and where they would come into play versus this, or if they're used in conjunction, because what little training I've had on it, I want to say the dry burn dressings are good because they don't stick to the wound, to the burn, which is something you want. But I'm wondering if I need to have more of these in my first aid kits. I have a lot of this stuff, but I don't know that I have any dry burn dressing, so I'm going to have to look into that. Then this is a mystery package. No, it is a poncho. It's got a hat. There's a hat to it. It is a poncho. It is the lightest poncho I've ever seen, but it is an emergency poncho, which it probably isn't now because I'll never get back in there. But it is an emergency poncho. If it was labeled as such, I didn't see the label, and it must have come off. But there that is. Okay, then the tape. Personally, I feel that with all these wound compresses that have no adhesive on them, I feel like that's probably not enough medical tape. It's 5 meters of medical tape. That's not a lot. I'd like to see a little more medical tape there, but it's there. Elastic bandage, and it is 4.5 meters. Earlier I said centimeters. 4.5 meters. And same thing here, the crepe bandage. I'd like to see a couple more of those maybe. I know there's not a lot of room. And then this is the CPR shield. So, oh, not bad at all. Not bad at all. So basically you, let's see, you lay that over the person and you, quick saver. Yeah, good thing to have if you feel like you need to do CPR. I know they're turning away from CPR, mouth-to-mouth CPR in a lot of the training, but if you feel like the situation calls for it, it's nice to have this because we've got years and years of CPR being the go-to. So, okay. So that is just about going to close out my review of this Rhino Rescue first aid kit. And I'm over here at the car, the daily driver, just to show you that I already was doing something very similar. This is my homemade trauma kit, and as you see, I did the same thing in a homemade fashion that Rhino Rescue has done for you in a much more professional way. This bag here is something that I can just grab and rip right off of there and go use if I come upon an accident or whatever. And so what I'm seriously thinking about doing is replacing this bag with this Rhino Rescue. I just think that that's a really nice system. And like I said, that's where I was headed with this, and I just made this out of leftover stuff, and it works fine. But that's a much smoother and more ugly, less ugly, more or less ugly than that. So what I'll do is I think I'm going to get these two together and maybe plus up this Rhino Rescue. Put some maybe some Israeli bandage in there, maybe some other things that aren't in there that I have that I think that'll be more important. And now this wasn't sold as a trauma kit. This is more of a first aid kit. But and there's Birdie coming to see what's going on. But what I think I'll do is I'll use this right here in place of the one I've currently have, and I'll plus it up so that it could be more of a stand-in for a on-the-road daily driver, come upon an accident, grab and go trauma kit. But I tell you what, I'm in love with that bag. I think that bag is worth over half of what this thing costs. And now this is where I get on my soapbox. And I've said this to y'all in some other videos about first aid stuff. I'm a true believer, as you can see, in having the gear. Yeah, have the training. Have the training to use the gear, but have the gear too. And if you aren't carrying a response kit of some sort, first aid, trauma, call it what you want, in your daily driver, why not? I can't tell you how many accidents I've come upon, and always you know, in the middle of nowhere in my commute, and and I was happy to have. And I've used this stuff. I've used this stuff before, and I was happy to have it. So you know, if you're of a mind and you're watching this video, so I think you are of a mind, I suggest you get something like this, but don't stop with that. Um, I would plus this up. Um, Maybe trade out that big flashlight for a small um, headlamp. Um, I would probably put some Israeli bandage on there, some more bandage type stuff for wrapping wounds. Um, you know, you're limited by room, but I would definitely start somewhere. And that this package is outstanding. I'm really happy with it. So my review is that this is a good place to start. This package here, this product is a good place to start for your prepping or your first response abilities, especially on a daily driver or on your EDC kit, if that's what you want to call it. And then once you start there, along with the training that you need to be getting, plus up this stuff in here, plus up the stuff inside, so that you're able to meet whatever you come across. And God forbid that you do come across something. I hope you never have to use this thing, but it's important to have it. So there it is. That's the Rhino Rescue first aid kit. I'll have to look and see what they actually call it. I think it's the basic first aid kit. I want to thank Rhino Rescue for asking me to do this and trusting me to give a good, fair, unbiased review. And I want to thank you for watching. Birdie, anything to say? No, she doesn't care.